Joining us, Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia of California. He's the ranking member of the Oversight Committee. First off, Congressman, I just want to get a sense of atmospherics among you and your colleagues right now. Are you surprised to be hearing from so many Republicans?
Look, it's surprising, of course, to hear any Republican ever take any stand against Donald Trump. They seem to follow his orders and whatever he wants every single day. And so the fact that some are actually growing a little bit of a spine is a good development. And I think they're seeing the American public outraged. They're seeing the American public right now, and it's not just Democrats or progressives. You are seeing folks that are coming out and saying enough. These killings have outraged, they've infuriated not just communities in Minnesota, but across the country. This agency has gone completely rogue. ICE needs to be abolished. It cannot be reformed, and Kristi Noem must be impeached. And as the Senate is considering funding, whether it's not just DHS, but other programs, they have to negotiate and make demands. This is an opportunity where Leader Schumer and others have some leverage to ensure that these agents are unmasked, to ensure that these investigations are independent, to ensure that we're pulling these troops and these forces out of places like Minneapolis and other locations across the country. So we have to actually make demands and stick by them while we have some leverage here.
Do you think the government should be shut down over this?
I think government shutdown should absolutely be on the table if we can use it as a way to ensure that we stop killing American citizens on our streets across this country. What's happening to Ms. Good, what happened obviously and continues to happen in Minneapolis, those are murders. Those are murders by our federal law enforcement agency against our own people. So we have to use every single lever that we have to ensure that this stops and ends. Donald Trump is creating his own militarized national police force with ICE. That's exactly what he's doing. That's only accountable to him. So Democrats have to be forceful in this moment. We have to move forward and impeach Kristi Noem. We have to move forward and demand that Donald Trump do the right thing in this moment. And Leader Schumer and Senate Democrats have the opportunity to actually get some reforms in this moment.
If Donald Trump pulls agents and federal law enforcement or scales back significantly in Minneapolis, do you anticipate the appetite for forcing a government shutdown is going to remain?
I think that we have to have every tool on the table to ensure that ICE, Border Patrol, and all the agencies under Kristi Noem's control are actually held accountable to the public and stop murdering people on American streets, stop throwing people to the ground, stop tear gassing them in the face and making them go blind, like what just happened to someone here in California. Stop taking children and using them as bait and then sending them into a detention center to horrific conditions. Due process and the Constitution should matter in our country, and Democrats should be prepared to use every single available measure, including shutting down our government, to ensure that we get not just reform, but a complete change at the top. And that begins with Kristi Noem at DHS.
So who's going to do what ICE has traditionally been in charge of? I mean, I've had a number of Democrats on this show, former ICE officials, former border officials, a lot of them under Obama, who have said that getting rid of ICE is a bad idea, that they do important operations. They do remove dangerous people. And the idea to abolish it is, it's not only bad politics, they say, but it's not smart.
Well, I think at this moment they're incorrect. Let me explain why. As you probably know, and folks should know, ICE and DHS, the way it exists today, did not exist just a few decades ago. It is a creation of the last few years of overreach, and certainly the ICE of right now is an agency created by Donald Trump that is larger and with more resources than at any time in American history. There are functions within DHS and within ICE that could be done by other agencies. There are important functions, whether it's issues at American seaports or issues along the border, that need actual good investigative work, that are issues that agents are actually trying to work hard to ensure, for example, that drugs aren't brought into this country. But what's happening right now, what ICE is turned into, is beyond the scope of what we need in this country, and surely to take care of the American public. And so we can have functions within DHS be handled by different agencies, but ICE in its current form cannot exist, because what they're doing right now is they're killing people in the street. They're violating due process. And Kristi Noem has to be held accountable for that. And people need to understand that this is a moment we have to have courage and stand up for the country and do the right thing.
Congressman Garcia, thank you very much for joining us.